Hello everybody, welcome to my Wordle strategy video number 2. This is called Navigating the Mid-Game. So, I know it's strange that my mid-game video is coming out before opening, but honestly there's a lot to opening theory, and there's a lot we can talk about and a lot of different words and paths to try, so I'm going to do a lot of videos on that topic, but for now I just wanted to do one that's a little bit shorter. If you didn't see the first video called the sacrifice guess, go check that out. We'll refer to that a little bit in this video. Anyways, let's get right into it. And this video is about what do we do with guesses 3 and 4, which depending upon what your score is, 3 or 4 is either the mid-game or the end game. But I consider guesses 1 and 2 the opening, and then guess 3 is where the mid-game starts. And sometimes you end up going deep like 5 or 6, and other times you end up closing on 3 or 4. But anyways, 3 nevertheless is when the mid-game starts. So here's one that I recently had. And I want to point to my key again for those of you who haven't seen my video before. If I underline a letter, that means I got a yellow hit. That means the letter is in the word but in a different position. And if I circle the letter, that means I got a green hit. So that's the correct letter, correct position. All right, so let's say I open with Lears, L-E-A-R-S. So I get 3 yellow hits. So when I get 3 yellow hits, I usually try to stick with them. Sometimes if I get just 2 or 1, I'll go to a different word entirely. But that's a topic for another video. So what was my next guess? I went with trial. So I used my L, my A, and my R. And then I wanted to get T in there because T is definitely a tier 1 letter and it deserves to be in the first 2 guesses. So I went with trial. And then I got a green AL. That means I know that the correct Wordle ends in AL. And then there's an R in the word, but it's either in position 1 or 3. It's not in position 2 and it's not in position 4. Now, if I get green hits earlier, I'll abandon them. I don't need to guess them again if I already know where they are. But now I'm kind of smelling blood. I feel like I'm really close to the word, so I'm actually going to start trying to go for it. Well, I started thinking of the different words that it could be. Now, I only came up with 4, but I'm sure that that's not an exhaustive list. So when you see the 4 that I came up with, if you're thinking, oh, wait a minute, you missed this other word, that's beside the point. The point is what we do with those words. So for all intents and purposes, for the sake of this video, let's just assume that those words that I came up with are the only ones that are possible. And those words are coral, moral, royal, and rural. Those are the words I came up with. Now again, there could be more words, but that's beside the point. So the question is, which one should I guess? They all seem reasonably likely, and it's kind of hard to get in the head of the Wordle producers and say, would they put a C in their word today? Or maybe they would do rural, because they know that it gives people a hard time when they have 2 copies of the same letter in the word, the R and the R. Maybe they'll do that. Oh, no. Maybe they'll do royal because they'll get people with the Y. Yeah, I think it'll be royal. Well, what do you do here? So that's the topic of this game, because this is a situation you're going to find yourself in all the time, and we're going to apply a little bit of game theory. So here's what I'm going to do. For each of these words, I'm going to go through the 4 cases of, if I were to guess that word, what are the 4 possible responses I could get, assuming that the Wordle is either coral, moral, royal, or rural. Let's start with all the cases involving coral. So case number 1 is that the word could actually, so if I guess coral, I could get this response, and boom, I got it. The word was coral. Okay, I got lucky. All right. Now I'm going to go case 2. What if the word is actually moral, but I've guessed coral? I know this is going to get a little wonky, but case 2 under coral is I'm guessing coral, but the actual word is moral. Well, if the actual word were moral, I would get this response, and I would get something O-R-A-L, and I would know that of these 4 words, it has to be moral. So I would know for sure that the word was moral. All right? Another thing I could get is I could get this response. something O, R in the wrong position, AL, which would tell me that it has to be royal, because this R would have to move there, and then RO something AL has to be royal. So I would know that the word is royal. And then the last possibility is I could get this, in which case I would know that since the O is wrong and the R has to be up here, oh geez, I guess it could be in position 2. But again, that would cover other words that I haven't thought of, so ignore that possibility. Anyways, if I got this with these 4 words that I've thought of, it would have to be rural. So coral is a good guess. Oops, hope I didn't do something there. Yeah, we're still recording. Okay. Coral is a good guess here because with a 1 in 4 chance, I will get it right and the word is coral. But in the other 3 cases, I know definitively what the word has to be. There's no ambiguity. Now, it turns out moral, here, pause. Moral is exactly the same, okay? I could get this response and get it wrong, but know that the word is coral. I could get this response, and then bingo, I got it. I got lucky, it was moral. I could get this response, and the word is royal, or I could get this response, and the word is rural. So moral would actually be a good guess as well. Ooh, did you see that, everybody? That was a Hollywood special effect. How did that envelope move by itself? Cool. Anyways, I've told you guys in the past, this is not a low budget video, it's a no budget video. So if you're coming here for special effects, that's about as flashy as we get. But if you're coming here for information, come to the right place. All right, look at this here. If I guess royal and I get this response, yellow R, green O, nothing Y, green A, green L. That means that this R would have to be in position 3, so I would have something O-R-A-L, which means the actual word could be moral or coral. So I've listed that same thing a second time, but this is redundant. We don't need it to be there a second time. But it's really, this case is assuming it's coral, and this case is assuming it's moral. But the point is, if I got this response right here in response 1, which is the same as response 2, I would not know if the word were moral or coral, and I would risk using another guess. So unlike these 2 things where I always know if I don't get it right, I always know what the word is, here I don't. Okay, now obviously I could get royal, bingo, or I could get this and I would know that it's rural. That's fine, but this is the problem. Okay, let's check out rural. Woo, look at those special effects. All right, so it's the same problem, guys. I could get this response. Something, something, green R, green A, green L. So, which means it has to be, let's move in here. It has to be moral or coral again. But again, I wouldn't know which. So that's a problem. Okay, I didn't bother listing that again. For this one if it's moral and this one if it's coral or whatever. I could get this response, in which case I would know that it's royal, or I could just get it right. So the moral of this story is not all guesses are created equal, even though these 4 words all seem like they're pretty likely. If you were like, oh, you know, I think they're going to use a Y today, I'll go with royal. Or I think they're going to go with a double letter, I'm going to go with rural. If you do that, yeah, it's possible you could get it right, or it's possible you could get this response and get it right on the next one. But the problem is you might be in this case where it's moral or coral and you won't know which one it is. So Lears was guess number 1, trial was guess number 2. So if I guessed rural, that would be guess 3, and then I could actually go 4, 5 and get moral or coral. So you could end up getting a 5 on this day. However, if you picked coral or moral, you have a 1/4 chance to get it right on the nose and a 3/4 chance that and if that's not the case, then you're guaranteed to get it correct on guess number 4. Anyways, that is a little bit of mid-game theory. I hope you learned something. You can subscribe if you want, but I don't make a ton of videos. But hey, if this helped you, maybe post this up on your social media and tell somebody about the video. Maybe somebody else will learn something. All right, hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.